This is the fifth estate winning headlines, your media police post coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, from the Photo School of Government. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning. But we also take a look at some of the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 23rd of June, 2022. And I am 2M.
I am Serbia.
I am Miss Pope. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. Daily Nation, gangster or gun dealer. The Standard, where the votes count. The Star, we have Raila DP Ruto splash billions in vote hunt. And in the Daily, People Daily, we have troubles pile for Chebukati. And I will begin on that note. Today, one question bothers my mind. Is the IABC a trustworthy midwife to deliver the 2022 election safely? This question bothers me because Maraga gave us a cookbook on how to misengineer an election through the infamous Maraga ruling of 2017. In this ruling, several irregularities and illegalities were underscored. And Chief Justice Martha Koome was also very clear in her recent notice to the IABC that if they do not resolve the issues that led to the previous ruling being nullified and get their house in order, the court will definitely nullify the election come 2022. Now, on illegalities, the court identified the issue of announcement and declaration of results, transmission and verification of results, and on irregularities, the court identified the security features of the forms. Now, the IABC, being the electoral management body, has the most crucial role to play. It must be credible, transparent, and maintain complete control over the whole process. Allow me to elaborate with a brief math lesson. Control theory in the field of applied mathematics refers to the control of certain physical processes and systems. This theory dates back to the 19th century, and the objective of the control theory is to create a model that drives a particular system to optimality while minimizing delay, any overreach or error, while ensuring a level of control and dependability. To achieve this, the controller must possess the requisite corrective behavior. In any given circumstance, control is important, but more so very powerful.
Correct.
Using control theory, one would be able to determine whether a system will work optimally or not. And I'll give you an example. The issue of using the electronic voter register versus the manual register is currently a contentious issue and in court, with just less than 45 days to the election. IABC Regulation 69(1)A stipulates that there should be a complementary backup.
Yes.
But IABC has stated that they will only use the electronic register. This raises a myriad of questions, like what happens when technology fails?
Correct.
Does this give confidence that IABC is in control of the electoral system? Now, Section 44 of the Elections Act stipulates that the Commission shall procure and put in place the technology necessary for the conduct of the general election at least 120 days before the election. This deadline was 11th April last month. The company that was procured by IBC, Smartmatic, has been nullified by the Public Procurement Review Board and challenged in court. This already raises a red flag. The law also provides that the Commission shall test, they shall verify, they shall deploy such technology at least 60 days before the general election. This deadline was again passed 10th June 2022. Did IEBC do this? Yes, they did. But the system collapsed, raising questions on the credibility of IEBC to conduct the upcoming election. What is my point here? Has IEBC created a model that instills confidence in the manner they will conduct elections? Are they in control of the process? Are they dependable to midwife the upcoming election? Has the IEBC corrected the mistakes of the last election? If not, ladies and gentlemen, the August 2022 election will be nullified by the Supreme Court. Fact. But are these tactical errors by IEBC? And who benefits? Only Chebukati can tell us.
Oh, is it deliberate?
Ms. Pope, it's like you read my mind. But you know what I'll do? I'll flip the script and hypothesize that the scheme to misengineer the election is deliberate. But I want to go further and also hypothesize that the schemers of misengineering are two, Wafula Chebukati and Chief Hustler himself, William Ruto. And the aim of the plot is simple. Push for a caretaker government by precipitating a constitutional crisis.
Yes.
But before we tell you how this plot will pan out, I'll ask to paint a picture of how this plot has been unfolding right before our eyes. 2 weeks ago, as you said, Ms. Pope, CHEBUKATI did a mock election at Bomas of 2,900 polling stations in the dry run. 1,700 polling stations failed to transmit results. This means that 60% of all polling stations countrywide are incapable of transmitting results 2 months to the election. Last week, CHEBUKATI admitted on national television that over 1 million registered voters had been moved from their host polling stations to alien polling stations nationwide. And this was discovered only 2 months to the election. These are massive failures. Question is it by design or is it by default? Whereas CHEBUKATI being suboptimal. In game theory, we say whenever you see a player playing suboptimally, it's because they're nested in more than one game. It is our considered view that CHEBUKATI is nested in more than one game. And because it is not against the law to speculate, we shall speculate. Our hypothesis is CHEBUKATI is making it difficult for an election to happen. And the beneficiary is William Ruto. Here is how. If CHEBUKATI removes the manual voter register from use, it means IABC will only have the electronic voter register at its disposal. And because the KIMS kits have failed previously in 2013 and in 2017, it means they will fail again. All you need is a total cell phone network outage and kaboom, the entire system will shut down. If this happens, there will be no election in August, period. And because the Constitution states that a presidential election and a general election will happen on the second Tuesday of August every 5 years, IBC will not be constitutionally bound to extend voting time. And here is where we get into a constitutional crisis. But also, this is where the madness begins. Ruto will pull the legitimacy card and ask if the incumbent has a mandate from the people to be in office. If Ruto led mass protests in Eldoret during the 2007-2008 post-election violence, the same Ruto will call for mass action and accuse the deep state of engineering a third term for Uhuru Kenyatta. Ruto will then use the rising global food and fuel prices as an Arab Spring type of rallying call. He will call for countrywide street protests and cause a nationwide spectacle. And he will do this to force his hand onto the negotiating table. His endgame is a caretaker government. Put simply, Ruto's aim isn't the presidency. No. All he wants is to be in government at zero option, because he knows if he's not, he won't be able to protect the sins he's committed as deputy president. But more importantly, Ruto knows if he's not in government, he won't sufficiently protect himself against ICC. That is the scheme. Take it or leave it.
IABC, we are watching you. So away from that, today I would like to start with a story. And don't worry, even if you don't have a degree, you'll be able to keep up. So Sakaja, pay attention. Kiambu County is a county of naughty boys, and in one homestead, the father has traveled for work, leaving his 2 naughty boys to guard their homestead and all its wealth. One naughty boy is a thinker, and the other is a doer who has balls of steel. Because they know the father is away, they have taken over and are now pretending to be the heads of the homestead. They beat their siblings, they insult their elders, and irritate their neighbors, especially the thinker. And their neighbors can't even intervene because they know if you irritate or wrong these 2 boys, they will stone you. But it's not just fear that motivates the neighbors and siblings to look the other way. These 2 boys are useful. Even if they are mischievous, they are clever in their own right. These 2 boys can bring down a bull. They know which cow gave birth, which homestead is making chapati, and which couple in the village has welcomed a new baby. So the villagers entertain these 2 boys. Why? Because they are a problem, but a good problem. However, one day a tourist from Sugoi noticed the 2 naughty boys and their wealthy homestead. After watching their behavior for a while, a plan to trick the boys forms in his mind. He approaches the 2 boys, who now pretend they are grown-ups, with a simple proposition. He is in need of clever boys to work in his own homestead and is impressed by these 2 boys. If the boys come with him, leaving their homestead unguarded, they will be treated well and rewarded with a soft life. The boys agree and follow the tourist from Sugoi back to his home. When they get there, they are in for a rude shock. Instead of the grand treatment they were promised, they are beaten and abused by the tourist's wife. And instead of the soft life they were promised, they get nothing. Meanwhile, their wealthy homestead stands unprotected, ready for the strange couple to take it as their own. What is my point here? The two naughty boys with braggadocio are Kabogo and Kuria. Their father is President Kenyatta and their wealthy homestead is Kiambu's 1.2 million voters. The boys were lured away from their home by Ruto. In their new home, they are treated like orphans by their adoptive father Ruto and mean stepmother Gachagua. In fact, last Christmas, Ruto bought the two naughty boys mitumba, vinyasas, while he bought his own political children like Kawanjiko, Wamadhafuria, Karungo Wadhanwa, and other Togeges designer clothes from Mrs. Price. Ruto and Gachagua are mistakenly comforted by the presence of their own political children who are nothing but political adolescents just having come to office less than 5 years ago. As a result, Ruto has neglected his adopted politically seasoned sons like Kuria and Kabogo and kept silent when they have been mistreated by their Yamin stepmother Gachagua. And yet, Ruto has not disciplined Gachagua or even reprimanded him, even though members of his own coalition have called him a dictator. This means Ruto supports Gachagua, and he affirms this by reminding his Kenya Kwanza members that Gachagua is the best among them. And this is where Ruto is wrong. Gachagua is from Nyeri and is expected to mobilize Nyeri's 400,000 votes for Ruto. Meanwhile, Kuria and Kabogo are expected to marshal Kiambu's 1.2 million votes for Ruto, 3 times more votes than Gachagua can marshal. And yet, Ruto has allowed Kuria and Kabogo to be humiliated time and time again by a man whose voter base doesn't even make up half of the votes within their grasp. So, if Ruto could allow Kabogo and Kuria to be humiliated, yet they are mobilizing votes for Ruto, what about those who won't give Ruto their vote? What kind of treatment should they expect if he wins the presidency? Let's hope we never find out.
Okay, so we have a 3-part criteria where we use to judge the headlines, and we ask ourselves, is the headline topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, thoughtful or just plain lazy? Allow me to remind you the headlines today. Daily Nation, we have gangster or gun dealer. The Standard, where the votes count. The Star, Raila DP Ruto splash billions in vote hunt. And the People Daily, trouble piles for Chebukati.
People Daily
All
as a winner.
We toss the rest.
Trouble piles for
Okay.
Chebukati.
Okay, there we have it. People Daily, our winning headline for the day. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are also on your TV screens. Find us on Pang, Free to Air, GoTV and Star Times. I will leave you with words from a wise man who said, transparency and the rule of law will be the cornerstones that will either make or break this coming election. Have a good day.
God bless.